out on the trail with Jerry and imagined Father Ravalli taking her to the ancient village of Alba Longa, the birthplace of Romulus and Remus. She was living her regular life back in Montana. She was at the Daly Mansion a lot that summer. The café she worked, called the Root Cellar, was one of the caterers for the Irish Celtic Festival, and Laine was working on the grounds. It was a Sunday, but it felt like the worst day of her life, because she had to wear a stupid wig and green outfit like the other cafe workers. Mertes was observing her with compassion, taking a break from her fortune-telling booth. They were under the same tarp as the twin brunette harpists playing traditional Irish music. She was so glad to see Mertes' smiling face, and it was the only thing making it all tolerable. She'd met Mertes for the first time at the bakery. Mertes always encouraged her. "You know, my son worked as a bank teller and he hated it, but now he's gone to study law. He's always wanted to do that. Everything can change," Mertes said. "I've got something to show you, if you can sneak away," Mertes said, winking. Mertes was Laine's retired global studies teacher, originally from Turkey. She was Laine's only friend at this time. About an hour later, partway through Laine's shift, she went to the east side of the tent to get some fresh air when she saw Max was on the sidewalk, talking with a friend. He always reminded her of a cow. Something about his eyelashes, which were short and blonde and pointed downward. His hair was straight and blonde, and he wore a Hawaiian shirt and long shorts. Old men moccasin slippers with high socks. He had his phone out like he was looking for Pokemon, but turned the other way when he saw her. She overheard them looking at her and pretended she hadn't noticed. "Who's that?" "No one," he said. "Doesn't look like it." When the two had disappeared out of sight, Mertes said, "That's him, huh? Never make someone a priority who ignores you," she said. Easier said than done, Laine thought. Mertes didn't understand how he'd tricked his way into her heart. He was like a bird who liked to build nests in places he never intended to roost.
Artlist.io.
The road to you. I don't care how far. I won't stop.
Music
trying.
licensing reimagined.
I wanna be right where you are.
Sometimes confidence is hard-earned, or maybe it comes the more you say, "Shoot, I'll just do it even if it's wrong." And you just do what you love. Even if it's weird and people don't like it. The grittiness and determination those disappointments made had actually carried her further along in life than she'd expected. To actually where she wanted to be all along. Writing was something that she didn't need anything from, but it gave her so much back on its own. And once she'd earned this confidence, she wouldn't take back a moment of the pain it had required of her. But of course it did feel like that then, and no love is ever wasted. It's the stuff books and poetry come out of, especially unrequited love. That's the good stuff. But this story wasn't really about him. It was about her transformation, and only God could take credit for that. She had only been obedient to him, bending through the storms of life like a hardy grain, that grit that had passed on to her by her forefathers. It surprised everyone when the twins started playing Blue Oyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper, and Mertes and she laughed. Laine wondered what seeing this setting represented in her story. If the Daly Mansion itself was Romulus's new court in ancient Rome. She didn't know. She was making it up as she went, but she was pretty sure that she was getting to the Irish part of her story. And everyone was like, wow, but in a good way. The mean waitress appeared out of nowhere, as if to steal her one moment of ease. Why aren't you at the tent? Why aren't you wearing your uniform? The mean waitress asked. Oh God, Laine thought. The mean waitress was her coworker, who did not like anything about her. She especially did not like her scrunchies or the way she said, "Hey, how's it going?" The mean waitress's voice was raised so that people were looking. Time seemed to stop. Laine was about to react when the chaos she felt herself. Laine was about to react when in the chaos she felt herself being dragged away by Mertes. In the past she'd have her outbursts. Her past self would have sped towards the mean waitress as if she was not in control, and say something biting towards her. She'd lose her temper like a loose gate in a strong wind that set the horses running free. She'd make hasty decisions, quit her job. Even though this satisfied her ego for a time, she realized she would never make it to her goals this way. Laine sped after Mertes. There was a makeshift army starting to cross the backfield, entering through a small gate and proceeding up the grounds near the outbuilding they called the Doll's House. Laine and her cross-country team in high school had run here once, and this is the same place that Laine had got her senior photos taken. The army wove their way against the north side of the mansion, towards Missoula, where Laine had gone to college. She had such bright hopes. What had gone wrong? She held her breath in anticipation as they centered themselves underneath the trestles, and more heads began to turn. Trumpets blared. She felt as if she had entered another world where the ancient past was present. As they made their rounds, one of the soldiers in the back was holding on to an ox that trailed the army. Laine stared at it even as attention died away. The way its shoulders shuffled like a weighted scale from side to side along with its horns, balancing everything, providing justice at exactly the right time. He was Don Quelngy, the ancient Irish cow from the Battle of Cattleraid of Cooley, spelled with 2 N's, not like Dad Don.
Artlist.io.
And ease swept through her, like a lost tale remembered from her childhood. Onlookers seeing the village turn into full carnival soiree each year knew it to be the very place to have an easy time. Sometimes those looking on from afar went away to find it and found themselves never to return. When hard times came upon the village, the people fed themselves on lack. They believed that fish fell from the sky like rain, only to shatter like glass upon the earth. It was no use. She would never find the peace of mind she sought, and the town of ease was just a fairy tale. Her experimental blog, Modern Legend, where she tried to map out the ancient Irish stories with modern understanding and emotion, had amounted to nothing. "I can't stand it anymore," Laine said when they got to the caravan. The anger in her stomach was back, like a bird flapping wildly. "I'm not putting this wig back on," she said. "My hair's already red and curly anyway." What she really meant to say was, "How did I end up here, and where did my dreams go to?" "Don't let her get to you," Mertes said. They were taking a break inside her caravan, but eventually Laine knew she'd have to go back to her catering job, hosted by the Root Cellar, where she worked as a waitress. She wasn't a very good waitress. She thought maybe she could be if her confidence wasn't entirely shot down, and her mind not in a state of constant distress. Mostly she thought of her boss, and how she seemed to be employing Laine as a way of sponsoring the arts. No matter how much Laine tried at her jobs, it seemed she was not meant to succeed in the normal way. Thanks for watching my video, guys. I'll be back with another video next Wednesday. Until then, ciao!